Hey folks, Eric is the Whatever Guy because it really is whatever me. And do you folks want to know more about this Alabama medical cannabis chaos? You guys stick around, man, and we'll talk about that. As you guys know, man, my name is Eric. I'm the Whatever Guy. I usually shoot videos a couple days a week, basically keeping you guys updated in the world of Delta 8, Delta 9, Delta 10, hemp cannabis, just what's going on in our realm. And having said that, man, sitting here on the bullshitting around on an early Wednesday morning, man, and I'm not going to lie to you about it, man. This is a crazy situation going on with the AMCC, and we've had many talks about that on this channel. And now we move forward into a position where they are getting ready to, in the legal morass of all these legal battles and stuff that they've got going on, they are still trying to push forward and issue these licenses out and trying to get some sort of resolution on the other side. And having said that, the whole time the AMCC has been breaking the law. Like they have been literally breaking the law by not going out and doing these site inspections. If they had done these site inspections prior to the awarding of the licenses in the first, second, third round, then we probably wouldn't be in the position that we're in now, because they wouldn't be issuing licenses to people that don't have buildings up or even a land cleared or anything like that. These site inspections were guaranteed by law. Like the AMCC is required by law to do these site inspections, and the reason why they're not doing them is they say that they're low on staff. Like they don't have any staff to do this. Like get out of the woods. Like you guys have time to go to the woods. You have time to do all this other stuff. You apparently are going to have time to sit down and do these 7-hour depositions, each 6 of you, which is 42 hours of depositions. Why couldn't you use some of those hours to, prior to this, to go ahead and go out and do site inspections and find out who was ready to get medical marijuana up on a shelf in the 60 days? So my question is like, can we file criminal charges against these folks for not following the law? Like, is that something that is in the handbag that we can pull out? Because they are just thwarting the law that was laid out by the legislature down to the ground. Like they just don't have any intention of going out and seeing any of these sites. And we're going to flip over here to an article right here over at, I believe this is over at alabama.com, and we're going to check it out. And this points out quite a few things. And this is by Bill Britt, and this was actually on January 29th is when this article came out. It says medical cannabis license chaos, legal turmoil, and oversight lapses. A cloud of confusion and apparent incompetence overshadows the licensing process, raising questions. In Alabama, ongoing legal turmoil surrounds the distribution of medical cannabis licenses, depriving those in need of its health benefits. This is despite the state legislature and Governor Kay Ivey's intentions. A cloud of confusion and apparent incompetence overshadows the licensing process, raising questions and concerns. Under the state's medical cannabis law, the Alabama Department of Agriculture and Industries, alongside the Alabama Medical Cannabis Commission, plays a pivotal role. However, the department's responsibilities, especially concerning regulations and inspections, have been largely overlooked. This neglect is becoming evident as the intricacies of the law unfold. State law mandates that the AMCC cannot issue licenses to any facility prior to inspection, ensuring compliance with stringent state requirements. However, the AMCC has circumvented this requirement by awarding licenses and deferring issuance until after inspection. When questioned about this deviation from the law, the AMCC cited staff shortages as a reason. But is this a genuine constraint, or is this just a deliberate ploy, perhaps making something more sinister? Masking something more sinister. Alabama Code 1975 outlines the state's preemptive regulation of medical cannabis from seed to sale. It specifies all functions, including cultivation, must be licensed with the Department of Agriculture and Industry's responsibility for cultivation. Despite this clear directive, the AMCC has not sought assistance or delegated application implementation duties to the Department of Agriculture and Industries. A crucial unresolved issue in medical cannabis licensing is the lack of site inspections, critical for accessing potential licensees. Officially, personnel shortage is cited as the primary reason for bypassing this vital step. Notably, the Department of Agriculture, designated to oversee cannabis cultivation, which includes inspections, inexplicably been missing from this process. Speculation is rife that manipulations in the licensing process, particularly post-2022 application guide and regulation releases, were tailored to favor certain entities, like multi-state cannabis companies. If agricultural inspectors hadn't conducted site inspections, some facilities might have failed to secure licenses due to noncompliance. This raises suspicions of potential collusion, possibly to ease the pathway for selected applicants by sidelining the Department of Agriculture in its statutory role. And I just told you guys, like I literally told you guys like 2 weeks ago, I had a company that was in the cultivator space that was issued a license, doesn't have a building up, doesn't have any equipment up, that was looking to buy equipment. Like they were looking to buy equipment after the fact that they were, that they were awarded a license. Like they should have had all of this product, all of these buildings up and all of this equipment in place prior to even putting the license in, like prior to putting the application in, they should have been able to get, or excuse me, when they were awarded the license, they would have had to be able to get marijuana up on a shelf within 60 days. And as it stands right now, there are a lot of companies out there that were awarded licenses that still do not have the ground cleared for a building to be put in that place. And like I told you guys many times before, I come from the construction space. I come from the electrical space. There's not anything you can tell me about putting a pipe up out in a field where a wall is going to be in 6 months and hitting it just right. There is no way that a lot of these companies out there that were issued these licenses, or excuse me, were awarded these licenses, once they are issued, are going to be able to get marijuana up on the shelves in 60 days. And this person that was looking for equipment is basically going to end up buying equipment from another licensee, another applicant that was set up, ready to go, and has all his equipment in place. Now he's going to look to buy that equipment so he can set his place up. Like, that's a crazy situation right there. Like, if we had done these site inspections from the get-go, we would have figured out what companies that were ready to go and what companies weren't. We could have given them a license, and we could have avoided all of this legal morass that we are involved in right now. In the summer of 2022, the Department of Agriculture established detailed regulations for cannabis cultivation. However, they unexpectedly ceased their involvement in this area without a stated reason, leaving the question as to why the department was withdrawn to the sidelines, especially given their regulatory and inspection mandate. The statute is still binding, and it requires agriculture to be involved in the licensing and regulation of cultivation. The Agriculture Department wrote the regulations on cannabis cultivation as their statutory duty, and there's no reason why agriculture shouldn't assist in licensing and inspection as required by the statute. The question arises then as to why are they not conducting these inspections? Complicating the matters from the beginning of the process was a complex scoring system that seemingly allowed some applicants to gain points despite not meeting statutory requirements. The Department of Agriculture, despite its statutory obligation, has not conducted inspections, and the Cannabis Commission admission of insufficient manpower for site inspections cast doubt on their commitment to statutory adherence and their motives for excluding the department from its role. This could be perceived as a maneuver to benefit multi-state operators who obtained licenses in the initial round by removing a key regulatory body from the process. Currently, the AMCC is trying to protect its members from undergoing depositions that might shed light on these disconcerting issues. Montgomery Circuit Court James Anderson is inclined to allow these depositions. It's time to also scrutinize why the Department of Agriculture has been disengaged from its prescribed duties in this critical matter. Also, given the AMCC's departure from legislature's directive that the AMCC share regulatory duties with the Department of Agriculture and Industries, perhaps it's time for the legislature to weigh in and take action to ensure the statutory requirements are effectuated. And let me just say this from the get-go. Like, everybody is trying to push this up in the legislature, and I've told you a couple times already that I have physically heard from a state senator here in Alabama out of her mouth that basically stated that if it pushes up into the legislature, that they don't have time to deal with it. Like, they are more inclined to kill this regulation than allow it to go through, because like I said, they don't have time to fool with it. And as we talked about with I think Representative Stutz, he is completely against this legislation. Like, he is watching this from the outside in, and he is basically learning everything that's going on. And he's basically got on a radio show last week and basically tore them apart about the fact that they don't do these site inspections. They haven't done anything that according to the law that they're supposed to do all the way down. And my question is to you guys is, like, can we file criminal charges against the AMCC? Like, can we do that? Like, they're not following the law. If I was to break the law, I would be going to jail immediately. There would be no question as to what's going on. And the AMCC is openly breaking the law right here. The law that was laid out by our constituents, are our representatives in this land, in this country, excuse me, in this state that we're in. It's a crazy situation right here, and I hope we can get this sorted out at some time in the future. But as it stands right now, like I said, if it gets up in the legislature, there is a 50-50 chance that they'll just kill this legislation altogether and wait for the federal rec to come around, and that'll be the end of that. All right, folks, whatever, guys, signing off, and I'll talk to you guys later, man. Love you. See you.